Networking components. A computer network is built up from several components. These components together makes it possible to transfer data from one device to another and make smooth communication between two different devices. The computer made up with different components, several components like the hard disk, RAM, processor, and other components. Now, computer network built up like the same computer we make with the different components. Computer networks also need some hardware components, and that we call it network devices. So network devices, these networking devices are components used to connect computers or other electronic devices together so that they can share files or resources like printers or fax machines. The list of networking devices that will be covered in this is this: network interface card, hub, switches, wireless access point, and router. So these are the network devices. The network component devices are we use to connect the or to create the network. Now the first component is network interface card. In short, we call it NIC, network interface card. A network interface card includes all the circuitry needs to create the necessary physical and logical connections between your computer or other devices. And the transmission medium. A network interface card is a logic board you install in a computer to connect it to a cable's connector. A network interface card, a portion of the device's logic board, software of the external devices are and generic hardware port or a number are all types of network interface board. As you can see in the image, it is a network interface card. We can also call it LAN card. Why we call it LAN card? Because it is used to connect your computer or your device to the LAN network. Now it is called card. Why it is called card? Because it is like a circuitry board card. It was used like this, but nowadays a one network interface card, one NIC is already inbuilt in every machine. Previously in old machines, in old computers, there was no NIC was inbuilt. So we use this external card. We use this external card to connect to your motherboard, to your computer, to use it for the network, and that is why it is called card, network interface card. But nowadays it comes as a port. It is like a generic hardware port we have in our every machine, which is we use to connect our machine to network. So we can say it is a port, it is a network port, but because it was used previously as a card, so we don't say it as a card, we don't say it as a port. We always call it like network interface card or LAN card. So originally network controllers were implemented as expansion card that could be plugged into a computer port, router or USB device. However, more modern controllers are built directly into the computer motherboard chipset. An expansion card NICs can be purchased online or in retail store if additional independent network connections are needed. When purchasing a NIC, specification should correspond with the standard of the network. So it is now inbuilt and it is called network port. But if we want additional port, then we can still use the network interface card and we can purchase it from the retailer and we can add it in our network. The term network interface card is often considered interchangeable with the term network interface controller, network adapter and LAN adapter. So even we can say NIC, we can say also network interface controller, because it is used to control the network behavior network for your system, for your device. It is also can be called as a network adapter or LAN adapter. Then types of network interface card. There are different types of network interface cards. While the standard NIC is plastic circuit board that slides into a computer to connect with the motherboard, and there are multiple ways this connection can occur. So by default it is like a small plastic circuit board which connects into your computer with the PCI slot, and then it will use to join your machine to the network. But there are different ways or also that, like wired network first. So these are NICs that have input jacks made for cables. The most popular wired LAN technology is Ethernet, and it uses the port, it has a port to connect the RJ45 connector. This is what the wired network. Then wireless. So there are NICs that use an antenna to provide wireless reception through radio frequency waves. Wireless NICs are designed for Wi-Fi connection. So where there was no there was no wire, and we are using or we are configuring the wireless network in our environment. So for connecting, for receiving and sending the data, our LAN, our machine must have the wireless LAN, wireless NIC. Now in that you don't have any port. Instead of port you will get the antenna. Now nowadays USBs are very famous. So everything comes under USB. So this NICs, so there are NICs that provides network connection through a device plugged into the USB port, and it is also for the network. It is also for the USB LAN adapter, where you can put your pin, your one side is the USB port where you insert it into the USB, and the other side you will connect your LAN cable, your RJ45 connector. And even it comes as a wireless network. Wireless network, that means wireless LAN, that means USB wireless adapter, that means you connect the USB port into USB, and the other side it is a wireless adapter, and it connects your machine to the wireless network. And it does not need any antenna, it is a small device. Then we have fiber optic also. So there are expensive and more complex NICs that are used as a high-speed support system for network traffic handling or server computers, and these could also be accomplished by combining multiple NICs. So we have fiber optics, which is very faster than the normal NIC. Then also in server machines we can have multiple links combined together to get the high speed. Then component of network interface card. So these are the some components for the network interface card. Network interface card components include the speed. First is speed. All NICs have a speed rating in terms of Mbps that suggests that general performance of the card when implemented in a computer network with ample bandwidth. The average Ethernet NICs are offered in 10 Mbps, 100 Mbps and 1000 Mbps, that is 1 Gbps. Then drivers. This is the required software that passes data between the computer's operating system and the NIC. So your operating system must understand what is the device and how it works, and what it can do with this device. And for any device in computer or operating system we need a driver. So for the NIC also we need a driver. So when you connect the NIC, then your machine must know that what is the device and how it is going to work, and for that a machine needs a driver. Then connectivity LED. Now most NICs have a LED indicator integrated into the connector to notify the user of when the network is connected and data is being transmitted. In every NIC if you see, there is LED. You can see here these are LED lights which indicates that the condition of the LAN. You can see here also in wireless and here also in the LAN. So same as in every interface, here also you have the LEDs. And PC also, in your laptop also you will get the LEDs to indicate that the network is connected or not connected. Then MAC addresses. Unique unchangeable MAC addresses, also known as a physical network address. are assigned to NICs that is used to deliver Ethernet package to the computer. These MAC addresses are a unique addresses, and it is unique in the world that every machine has a unique address, and it is called also MAC address. MAC address is in full like it is media access control address, and also we can call it as a physical network address. Why it is called physical? Because it is embedded into your NIC. It is embedded into your NIC from the company, from the vendor. You can't change it. MAC address or physical address. This MAC address is a hardware identification number that uniquely identifies each device on a network. The MAC address is manufactured into every network card, such as an Ethernet card or wireless Wi-Fi card, and therefore cannot be changed because there are millions of networkable devices in existence, and each device needs to have a unique MAC address. So there must be a very wide range of possible addresses. For this reason, MAC addresses are made up of 48 bits, 6 sets of 2-digit hexadecimal numbers separated by colons. And this is the example of the MAC address. If you want to see it in your system, let me show you in your system. This is our Windows machine, and if suppose we want to see the network MAC address, so you can go to the adapter setting. We will go to control panel, and you have to go to the network setting, network adapter setting. So I'll go to network and sharing center, and in that I will go to change adapter setting. Now this is my network adapter here. Now when I right click here and check the status of this network adapter, so this is the status currently. When I go to detail, it shows me here the physical address. So this is the physical address for my network adapter. You can see it is a 48 bit, that means 6 set of 2-digit hexadecimal numbers separated by colon. Mostly it is separated by colon. In Windows it shows like this, hyphen. We can also do this, we can also see this by going into the CMD. And we can give command get MAC, and it will also show you the MAC address you have. Now this is the MAC address, this is the physical address we have, and it is in hexadecimal. Remember, this number is hexadecimal. Hexadecimal means it is having a 16 digit, 16 numbers. 16 numbers, that means from 0 to 9, 0 to 9, and then after 9 it will come A, B, C, D, E, F. So you see here some of the F and C, some of the characters are also with numbers. So it is hexadecimal, it is not decimal number. Decimal is 0 to 9, this is hexadecimal. And it is what? 2-digit hexadecimal set, and you have complete 6 sets. Now each hexadecimal set has 4 bits. 4 bits, 4 bits. That means in this 2-digit you have 8 bits. So 8 bit, 8 bit, 8 bit, 8 bit, it is total 48 bits. So total address of this MAC address, total MAC address is 48 bits. Now, because every device needs to connect the network. Suppose if it is needs to connect the network, then it has to get the network interface card. To connect the network, it needs network interface card, and for network interface card, it needs a MAC address. So every device in the network, whatever the device we have, and it wants to connect to the network, it has to have the network interface card, and network interface card needs a MAC address. So in the world, every network interface card must have the unique address. Now because there are lots of addresses, lots of devices are there, so that is why it is a it is giving a large range of addresses. Remember, large range of addresses, that means it depends on the bits. A bit, that means how much bit you have, that much number you can have. So 48 bit can have lots of numbers. If you want to know how much numbers you can have in 48 bits, then you can say you can raise 2 to 48, and you will get a millions of numbers. But still it must be unique in the world. Unique in the world, that means not two LAN cards, not two MAC addresses must be same, because this is the address which is used in the LAN network to transfer the data. Remember, in the LAN network, data will go from one system to other system by using the MAC addresses, by using the unique MAC address. So if one machine's MAC address is same from the other machine, then it will create a big problem. So your data will not send the you will get the errors, you will get the corrupt errors. So it is compulsory, it is very important to have every MAC address separate, different than every other MAC address in the world. So how it is done? So this 48-bit address is divided into two parts of 24 bits. So first 24 bits of hexadecimal is called Organizationally Unique Identifier, OUI, given by IEEE. IEEE is the International Electronic Engineers. These organizations sets the standards for the network or many other things. So basically they set the standards. So they give you the 48-bit, they give the first 24-bit to any company. For example, suppose I want to create a company for making the network devices. So for my devices I need the MAC addresses. So I will get the MAC addresses, I will get the first 24-bit address from this IEEE. They will give me the IEEE, they will give me the first 24-bit, which they have never given to any other company. So never given to any other company, that means my first 24-bit will be unique from any other company, and it is called Organizationally Unique Identifier. So first 24-bit will always different from the other company. So if you are having any other company, you will see the first 24-bit is different, and by looking this first, we can identify the company also, which company made this MAC address. So first 24 bits are given from IEEE, and it is different from vendor to vendor, and only getting the first 24 bit we can get the name of the vendor also, name of the manufacturer. Now the last 24 bit of the hexadecimal is called Network Interface Controller, which is managed by hardware vendor itself, and this is why MAC addresses are unique from every NIC. So first 24 bit is given by the IEEE to the hardware vendor who is making the hardware. Then rest of the 24 bit is the vendor itself manage it. Now vendor itself manage it means what? It will manage like one MAC address of its company, or what it makes, it will not match the other one. So always they make the unique MAC addresses. And remember, 24 bit is very much. 24 bit means you can have millions of numbers. You want to know, then you just raise 2 to 24 how many numbers you can have. So in a company you can make that numbers of devices. So no two MAC addresses are same. You will see no two devices, no two network interface cards MAC addresses will be same. They will be always different. Now if suppose you want to see like which your MAC address belongs to which company, then you can go to internet and you can browse and you can see which company it is. Let's see, I'll show you this. So go to browser and just find MAC address lookup. You can find different sites to do this. You can go to any of these sites to look up your MAC address. Let's say I will go to this. Now here you have to paste your MAC address. So when you paste your MAC address here, then it will find the vendor, the hardware vendor who make this MAC address, who make this device actually, and it get it by using only first 24 bit. The last 24 bit is not important to get the vendor. So suppose my MAC address is, now this is my real machine. I will say get MAC here, and now I'm getting these MAC addresses because of the media access control I have. Now if I want to check what is the who is the vendor of these MAC addresses, so I can just use this. I can copy this and just paste it here, and you can see here it is saying this is Dell company, Dell in company. So this device is made by the Dell, because my device, my laptop is a Dell device. I have other also. I have this one, so I'll go for this one. And you can see it is saying this Hon High Precision India company. So this is made by this company, and I can see the name of the company. Now why I am having these two MAC addresses here? One is my LAN card, one is my wired network card, and this is the second one is my wireless network card. So this is my wireless network card MAC address, and this is my wired network card, wired NICs MAC address. Now I have two more MAC addresses, and these are same. You can see the first 24 bits are same, and the last 24 bits are almost same, only difference is from 1 to 8. Now these MAC addresses are for my virtual machines. It is actually coming from my virtual machine. I have installed the virtual machines here in my system. So for those virtual machines, these virtual adapters are there, and this is the virtual adapters MAC address. And which virtual machines I am using? I am using VMware. So it is showing that this is VMware. The second one is only 8, but this is the same vendor because the first 24 bit is same for my both the MAC addresses. You can see these both MAC addresses, the first 24 bits are same, and that is what from VMware company, and because they are the virtual MAC addresses I have. Now next is hub. Hub receives transmission from connected devices and transmits the signal to the other connected device. The hub organizes the cable and transmit incoming signals to the other media segments. Some network implementation requires a central point of connection between media segments, and these central points are referred to as hub, multi-port repeater or concentrator. Cables from network devices plug into the port on the hub, and it may look like it will look like this. Now remember, hub was used in star topology. When there was a star topology, we use hub as a centralized device. Now, even if it is a star topology, but because the hub was used as a centralized device, is still working as a bus topology. It was still working as a bus topology. So physically it looks a star topology, but logically it works still as a bus topology because how the hub works. So hub works based on broadcast. It does not use any mind. It is actually dumb device. It is also called dumb device because it does not use any processing, anything. It just do the transmission. For example, now this is what we can say is the star topology, where there is a centralized device and this is hub, and all the devices are connected to this centralized device. Now you can see it looks like a star, and that is why it is called star topology. So in old days the centralized controller, the centralized device was hub. Now hub works differently. It works like a, actually it works based on the broadcast. Broadcast, that means it do only broadcast and it does not do anything. Now what that means, if suppose one device wants to send the data to any other device, for example to this device, so what it will do, it will send the data to its controller, its hub. Now what hub will do? Hub will do what? It will just broadcast the data to every port except the port where the data comes from. So it leaves that port and then it will send the data to every other port. It will send here also, it will send here also, then it will send here also. That means every device will get the data. Now nobody will accept the data, only the device will accept the data whose data is the data is for that device. Like the data is for this device, so only this device will accept the data, others will not accept the data, but others will still get the data. So that means what? It works same as the bus topology, where only two devices can do the communication and rest of the devices have to wait for the communication to finish. Because if every device do the communication at the same time, then what happen? They will get the collisions. So it uses the same technology in bus topology we use, that is CSMA. CSMA, that is carrier sense multiple access / collision detect, because there are chances of collisions are there. And when collision happens, when suppose collision happens, then every device have to be wait, and they have to wait for the collision to go and they have to stop. So every device will be impacted or affected when the collision happens. And whenever they want to send the data, they use the carrier sense multiple access to send the data. And when someone is already sending the data, then the other devices have to wait for the communication to finish. Now when you see the physical topology, it is a star topology, but still it is working as a bus topology because of hub, because hub works like that. Then the term called collision domain. So collision domain, that means it is impact of the collision, how broad the impact is, like when the collision happens, then which device, all the devices are impacted or not. So like two or more devices sharing the same bandwidth are said to be in a single collision domain. So every hub is what is a single collision domain, because whenever collision happens, all the devices connected to the hub is impacted and they have to wait for the signal, they have to wait for certain random timer to finish, and then they will start doing the communication. So whenever collision happens, they have to wait for the random timer. And everyone impacted by the collision. That is why it is called single collision domain. Now when you have hub connected to another hub through the cable, suppose you are having two or more hubs are connected, but still they will remain in the single collision domain, because hub do what? Broadcast. So no matter how many hubs you connect together, they all remain in the single collision domain. For example, we have these three hubs. Now if I connect them together, now why I connect them together? Because suppose there are machines here connected to this hub and there are some other machine connected to this hub, and I want them to do the communication together. So I connect these hubs together by using the wire. Now when you connect these two hubs together, then it will do what? They will remain in the single hub, single broadcast domain, single collision domain. Why? They are still the two different devices, but still they will remain and they will called as a single collision domain. Because when this machine sends the data and if the collision happens, then this machine will also have to wait, and this machine will also have to wait, and all the machine from this domain, this hub and this hub will be affected. So they will remain, they will call the single collusion domain. So no matter 1, 2 or 3 devices you connect, they will remain in the single collusion domain. Now if suppose they are not connected, if they are separated, they are not connected, so this one will be one collusion domain, this one is the other collusion domain, and this is what, this will be other collusion domain. So these three will called as a 3 separate collusion domain, but when we connect them together, then they will called as a single collusion domain. Now one more thing is called broadcast domain. Now broadcast domain means what? When the broadcast packet comes, then everyone will get the broadcast. Now remember, the hub works like broadcast, so it will always send the broadcast to everyone. So when someone send the data to any other machine, it will not only go to that machine, it will go to everyone. So if you have one hub connected, so you have multiple devices connected to that hub, and if suppose some device sends the broadcast packet, or even not broadcast packet, even a normal packet to unicast packet to a unique machine, still it will do the broadcast. So single hub is also called a single broadcast domain. That means when data comes to hub, it will always do the broadcast. So a single hub is a single broadcast domain also. So whenever the broadcast comes, it always go to everyone. Now remember, if you have multiple hubs, but if they are not connected, so they will remain separate broadcast domain. So this one is a different broadcast domain, this one is a different broadcast domain, this one is a different broadcast domain, just like the collusion domain. But if I connect them together, then what? They will call as a single broadcast domain. No matter how many hubs you join together, they will again call single broadcast domain, just like the single collusion domain. So hubs are single broadcast domain, and hubs are also single collusion domain. So collusion domain, that means 2 or more devices sharing the same bandwidth are said to be in a single collusion domain. So even if you are having a one hub, it is a single collusion domain, and if you connect to the two more hubs, then again they will remain in the single collusion domain. Then for the broadcast domain, a broadcast domain is a logical part of a network segment in which any network equipment can transmit data directly to other equipment or devices without going through a routing device. So it will remain a single broadcast domain also. And the broadcast domain means where you can send the device, and the one device can send the data to any other device without going through the router. It is a single segment. These are the hubs functionality. So hubs is a multi-port repeater. It is also called multi-port repeater. In previous, there was one more device. It is called repeater. Repeater we use in mostly bus topologies, where where the cable length is the limited. So when the cable length is limited, like suppose you are using the length, you are using the cable and you are spreading the network. Now cable length says it can go up to 100 meter. So your data will go up to 100 meter easily. But if you want to keep the data, if you want to take the data more than 100 meters, so your data can go weak, and it will not reach to more than 100 meter, because cable is having a limit of 100 meter. Now in that case, you can put repeater in between. So repeater will do what? It will amplify the data to go more 100 meters. So if you want to reach the data more than 100 meters or more than the cable limit, then you put one repeater in it. Now repeaters are very simple device. They have two ports, one input port and other one the output port. So when data comes from the input port, it will amplify the data and send it to output port. So it is just repeats the data, it repeats the same data, it only amplifies the signals. Now the hub also works like the same, only the hub has multiple port, not only two port, multiple port it is having. So it can also called multi-port repeater, because it also do what it can also do only repeating the data. It will only do the transmission. It will not do anything. It will not identify the data. Then typically used in a network with star topology. So basically it used in the star topology, but physically it is star, but still it works like a hub, a bus topology. Now hubs are known as concentrator also, because it do broadcast the data, it do amplify the data. Hub works at the first or physical layer of OSI model. Now when we call about the OSI model, it has a 7 layers, and the hub works on the first layer of OSI model. Then in case of hub, bandwidth is shared, not switched. Remember, hub bandwidths are shared, it is not switched. So if it is 100 Mbps, it is giving you 100 Mbps, that means it will be shared with all the devices connected. Then hub is a single broadcast domain, and also hub is a single collusion domain. No matter how many hubs you join together, they will remain again still in the single collusion domain. Now this was used in old days for the star topology, but because it was still working as a bus topology, it was still working slow. Then we have developed the new thing, it is called switch. Then the new device came, and it is called switch. Switch is the advanced device than hub, and nowadays we use switch only, we don't use hubs. Hubs are now outdated and nobody uses the hub now, but now everyone uses the switch in star topology. Now when the switch came in the star topology, then what happened? Physically it looks star, but logically it works like a mesh topology. Now how? Because the switch works like that. But before the switch, there was one more device, it was called bridge. It was called bridge. The bridge device came, and after the bridge device, the switch device came. It is just an advanced version of bridge. Now again, if you go to the switch configurations, so there are some configurations still said that still say that bridge device. That means in the switch configurations, there are some configurations still known as a bridge. It still shows the name of the switch as a bridge. Like it is not called switch ID, it is called bridge ID, the configuration. It is like there is a ID for the switch, it is in a STP, but it is not called switch ID, it is called bridge ID. Why it is called bridge ID? Because it is the advanced version of the bridge, and now it is called switch. So if you want to understand how the switch works, so you have to understand how bridge works. So let's see how that bridge works, then I will show you how the switch works also. Now this is what a bus topology. Now what happened in bus topology? When any device sends the data to any other device, then what happened? Data will occupy the whole cable, and it will no other device can do any communication at that time, because the data will occupy the whole network. It was in the bus topology. Now what happened in the bus topology? It was making the network very slow. Then the bridge device came, and it do what? It bridges the network. Now what it do here in the bridge network, in the bus topology it was came, so it do what? We put the bridge in between this bus network. Now what bridge do? It actually segments the network. It divides the network into multiple segments. Now what it do? It divides the network into multiple segments. Now multiple segments, that means now this is another segment, this is another segment, and this is another segment, and this is another segment. Now what happened if suppose this device wants to send data to some other device? Like for example, it wants to send the data to this device. Now what happens, the data will go to the cable. Now it will go to here, it will go to here, and it will go to here also. But when it tries to go to this side, to go to other segments, the bridge will stop it, and bridge will not allow this data to go to other segments, because the data belongs to this machine which is in the same segment. Now when these two machines are doing any communication, so their data will remain in the same segment, it will not go to any other segment. Now at the same time, the other segments can do the communication. That means when these two machines are doing the communication, so other segments are not busy, they will remain free. Now when there was no bridge, when what happened, the data will go to everywhere and everyone have to stop. But when we have a bridge, so bridge will do what? It will not allow the data to go to the other segment. It will stop the data into the same segment, because the source and the destination, the data, the source, that means who is sending the data, and the destination who is receiving the data are in the same segments. So at the same time, other segments are free to send and receive the data. Now if suppose this machine wants to do the communication to this machine, now what happened, data will come to this segment, it will go to everywhere in the segment, every machine will receive the data, but the data is not for them. Now data will go to the bridge also. Now bridge will check that the data belongs to which segment. Is it for the same segment or is it for the other segment? Now it knows the information about the other segment also. Now the bridge knows that this data belong to this segment, because this PC is in this segment. So what bridge device will do? It will bridge the data directly to this segment, and that is why it is called bridge. And then what? Data will go to this segment, and it will go to everywhere in this segment. That means every device of this segment will get the data, and the machine, the data is for this machine, so the data, this machine will accept the data, these machines will not accept the data. But what happened here, this segment is busy and this segment is busy, but at the same time these two segments are free to send and receive the data. So the bridge is doing what? It is bridging the data from one to another segment. Now what happened when the technology improved? Every port becomes separate segments. We put bridge into every port. In between every port, we create segments. Now when you have every port as a segment, then what happens when any two devices do the communication? For example, if this device is sending or receiving the data to this device, then only this segment will be affected and this segment will be affected, and all the other segments are free to do the communication. So only the data is bridging from here to here and here to here, and at the same time all the other segments are free to use the network and they can free to do the communication. This was the bridge network, this was the bridge device. Now the switch came, and switch do what? Switch do the same job. And in switch we can say every port is a separate segment. Now instead of the bridge, now it is called ports. So every port is now a separate segments. So when these two devices do the communication, so only these two devices will be busy and affected, and other devices can do the communication simultaneously. Now we can make this as a device, and this is what the port of switch is. Now first, how they divide it into segments, and how the bridge knows that this data belong to this segment and this data belong to that segment. So how the bridge decided that the data belongs to which segment? So basically what happened, it is an intelligent device. So in this device there is a memory, it is called CAM memory. It is called CAM memory, that means content addressable memory. And in this CAM memory it do what? It creates the CAM table. In CAM table it adds the MAC addresses of the devices. Now for example we have 5 segments here. So there are numbers here, like this is one segment, this is second segment, this is fourth segment, third segment, this is third segment, this is fourth segment, and this is fifth segment. It is like this. In the CAM table there is a table for each segment. Segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, segment 4, segment 5, segment 6, whatever. Now what happened here when we start the bridge or switch device first time? Now remember, switch and bridge work same. So what did it do? That it creates the CAM table. Right now the CAM table is empty. Now how it creates the CAM table? It creates the CAM table by using the MAC addresses of these devices. Now what happened when suppose this device sends the data to any other device? Remember, to any other device. So it will go to everywhere and it will go to every device, and it will go to also the bridge device. Now bridge device will do what? It will open the data and check the source MAC address. Remember, it checks the source and destination MAC address. Checks the source and destination MAC address, that means the source means the one who is sending the data, and destination the one who is receiving the data, who is going to receive the data. Now what the bridge device do? It checks the source and destination MAC address. Remember, the MAC addresses are unique in the world. And what it do? It creates the entry of the source MAC address. Because the CAM table is empty, so it will do what? It will first create that CAM table, and for that it will create the add the source MAC address into the CAM table. Now it comes from the segment 1. That means this source MAC address is coming from segment 1. That means this MAC address is belong to segment 1. So it will make an entry in segment 1 that this MAC address is here in this segment 1. Then the destination MAC address is not known to the bridge. That means the CAM table is empty. It don't know that where is the destination MAC address and where to send the data. Now remember, when the destination MAC address is unknown, and when our bridge device or switch device don't know the destination MAC address, then what they will do? They will send the data to everyone. Everyone, that means it is going to be broadcast. It will do the broadcast and it will send the data to everyone. All the segments. Now the data will go to all the segments and we get the one source MAC address added into the segment. Now same as when all the other machines start doing the communication, like this machine start sending data, this machine start sending data, all these machines are start sending the data, then one by one the CAM table is start creating. Like in segment 1 we have these MAC addresses, in segment 2 we have these MAC addresses, in segment 3 we have these MAC addresses, in segment 4 we have these MAC addresses, these MAC addresses. Now the whole CAM table is ready. Now when the whole CAM table is ready, then what happened when this device send data to this device? So data will go to everywhere and reaches to the bridge also. Now bridge will do what? It will check the source and destination MAC address. Now source belongs to the same segment, destination is also belong to the same segment. Then what it will do? It will not allow the data to go to any other segment, because the source and destination also in the same segment. Now if suppose this device wants to send data to this device, so what it do here? The data will go to everywhere and reaches the bridge device. So what bridge will see? That the source is in segment 1 and destination is in segment 5. So the data will go directly from segment 1 to segment 5. And all the devices in between the other segments will remain free to do the communication. So it do what? It creates the CAM table, and in that CAM table it creates the entry of all the MAC addresses available in the segment, and then it do the bridging based on that CAM table. Now when we have divided this every port into separate segments, that means in the CAM table we have multiple segments, and in each segment we have only one MAC address. So when you send the data from any other machine, so it will go from one segment to other segment, and all the other segments will remain free, because the bridge device do what? It checks the source MAC address, checks the destination MAC address, and then see that which segment belong to this source and destination, and then it will directly send it to that segment. At the same time, other devices will remain free. Now same thing happened when we get the advanced. Now bridge gets advanced, so every port becomes a separate segment, then it gets more advanced, and now it becomes switch. But the work is same. Switch is also having working same as bridge. It also do what? It creates the CAM table and also do the switching based on the CAM table. And first it will do create the CAM table based on the receiving data, and it do what? Add the source MAC address into the CAM table. And when it does not know the destination MAC address, it will still do the broadcast, and it will send the data to everyone. Now remember, these bridges or switches does not identify, does not inform any devices that they are in between and they are doing the communication. When they receive the packet, when they receive the data, they open the packet and then again repack it and send it to the destination device. So this source and destination don't know that someone is in between is doing the communication for them. They feel that they are connected directly to the other devices. Now that means this device will feel that it is connected to every other device in the network directly, like a mesh topology. But they don't know that there is a switch between them, and the switch is creating the virtual circuit and virtual logical circuit between these two devices. So the devices knows that they are directly connected. The switches and the bridges switches are in transparent mode. They don't inform these that they are in between. So physically it looks a star topology, and logically it works like a mesh topology, because every device feels that they are connected directly to the other devices. So they do the communication like they are connected to directly other devices, and that is why it logically works as a mesh topology. So bridges was old, then now we have switches, and which do the same job. It works same. Every port is a separate segment, and create the CAM table based on that segments and add the MAC address entries into the segment, each port segment, and then what? It do the unicast. Unicast, that means one to one. And even if the destination MAC address is unknown, then it will do the broadcast and send data to everyone. Now when you say what is the difference between bridge and switch, so basically bridge was old, and nowadays we don't use bridges, we use the switches. But basically if you see bridges now, then the bridges was slower than the switches. Switches are faster than the bridges, because in bridges we have a centralized processor who is deciding this all bridging data, that when this device will send to another device, so the creating of the logical circuit between those devices, bridging the data, will be done by the single processor. But in the switch, we have every port, we have a single IC, application specified IC, ASIC, for every port. So every port can take a decision independently. So in bridges we have a single IC, and in the switches we have IC for every port. So this works faster than the bridges. So nowadays we don't use bridges, we use only switches, because the switches are faster than the bridges. It works hardware, it do the hardware based switching, because every port has its own IC, and the bridges do the software based switching, because there is only one processing power, and every decision is based on the software loop, like if this, else that, and then this. So it is based on the software based switching, so it is called software devices, software based switching, and switch do the hardware based switching. So switches are faster than the bridges, and nowadays we don't use bridges. So switches are LAN switch. LAN switch is a centralized device connected to multiple PC or nodes in a star topology, and it is a data link layer 2 device. Now remember, hubs works on physical layer, first layer, and these switches works on second layer. Second layer is called data link layer, and read data frames unlike hub, and that means it can open the data frames and it can check source and destination MAC address. Unlike hub cannot do that. It just transmit the data when it receives. It is a quite intelligent and understands the MAC addresses of the PC or nodes, and it stores it into a repository called CAM table or MAC address table. It has the capability to do a unicast. Unlike the hub, every switch port is made up of a special hardware called ASIC, application specific integrated circuit, an integrated embedded hardware that has a capability of switching millions of packets per second with many more features including buffering of data. So as I said, every port of a switch has a unique ICs, application specific ICs, that decides the switching, they do the switching decisions, and it can do switch millions of packet per second. These are the functionality of switches. Switches is a multi-port bridge. Now again, what is it saying? It is a multi-port bridge because it is the advanced version of bridge. Switch works at the data link layer of OSI model because it reads the packets and opens the packet and see the MAC addresses. In case of switch, bandwidth is switched, not shared. Now here the bandwidths are switched, not shared. That means if the switch is in 100 Mbps, that means every port of the switch will get the 100 Mbps speed. Then switch is a single broadcast domain. Remember, when you say the broadcast domain, it is still single broadcast domain. That means if you have one switch, then it is called single broadcast domain, because when the broadcast packet comes from any port, it will be broadcast to every other port. It will do the unicast because it do what? Based on the MAC address table, it do only the unicast. It does not do the broadcast like the hub. But suppose if the packet is broadcast packet, if suppose one machine wants to do the broadcast, then the switch will do the broadcast and the packet will reach to everywhere. Packet will reach to every other port in the switch. So that's why it is called single broadcast domain. Now just like hub, again if suppose you connect multiple switches together, then whether it is 2 or 3 or 4, they will remain in the single broadcast. So if one port of the switch, one machine of the switch send the broadcast, then it will go to every other switches and every other port of the every other switches which is connected. So it is a single broadcast domain. Now when it is come to collusion domain, switch breaks the collusion domain into multiple per port collusion domain. Now remember, switch does not do the collusions because it do the unicast and it do based on the MAC address table. So if suppose two devices are sending and receiving, at the same time other devices can also do the sending and receiving. So there is no point of collusion there. So there is no collusion, but still it is a single collusion domain because every port of a switch is a single collusion domain. Because if suppose the collusion happens on the single port, it will not reach to any other port because it is itself a single segment. Every port of a switch is a single segment. So when collusion happens, it will remain in the same port, it will not go to any other port. So if suppose you want to say how many collusion domains are there in switch, so it depends on the port. So if you have 20 ports, that means 20 collusion domains. Then we have access point, wireless access point. This wireless access points allows the mobile users or wireless devices to connect to a wired network without physical wire links via radio frequency technology. And this wireless access point is a data link layer device that contains both a transceiver for wireless communication and a jack for connection to a LAN using twisted pair or fiber optic cable. After you connect the wireless access point to a cable network, wireless devices within the range of the wireless access points, transceiver can communicate with the system on the cable network using the wireless access point as a conduit. The result is that the wireless devices functions as though they are part of the cable network. A hotspot is a common public applications of APs and where wireless clients can connect to the internet without regard for the particular network to which they have attached for the movement. Very simple. What you call wireless access wireless router, it is actually called wireless access point. So very simple, these wireless access points are used to connect the wire network to wireless network to wired network. In one side you connect the internet port, and from the wireless side you connect your mobile devices, your wireless devices, and you can join to the network, wired network. Basically we use it to connect the internet through the wire and then from the wireless devices, and also we call it as a wireless router. So it is what AP. Then we have routers. Routers connect two or more logically separated networks. Each network is identified by its network address, a logical name assigned to it, and each network in an internetwork must be assigned a unique network address. A router has a lot more capabilities than other network devices such as hub, switch that are only able to perform basic network functions. For example, a hub is often used to transfer data between computers or network devices but does not analyze or do anything with the data it is transferring. But by contrast, the routers can analyze the data being sent over a network, change how it is packaged, and send it to another network or over a different network. So basically routers are do what? It is to connect to different networks, different logical networks. Now what is the two different logical networks? It is basically divided by the network addresses. Now network addresses are the addresses to identify the devices in the network. It is a unique addresses. We have IPv4 addresses, we have IPv6 addresses. These are logical addresses to divide to unique. These are the logical addresses. They are unique addresses to give any network devices. So we give these addresses to any network devices to identify the device in the network. So if you have two different network addresses, so they can't do the communication together if they are in two different networks, or we can say in a different segments. So switches and bridges can do the communication within the network, but routers can do the communication from other networks to different networks, and many more other things also can be done by the router. It can analyze the package, it can analyze the packet, open the packet, and it can do anything, other things also. And the routers also works on layer 3. Hubs works on layer 1, switches works on layer 2, and routers works on layer 3. They can analyze the source and destination IP addresses, they can analyze the other things also. Operations of routers. These routers are typically much more processing intensive than bridges and switches. A result, their processing speed generally measured in packets or blocks of data forwarded per seconds are not usually as high. So routers are capable of much more sophisticated path selection. The decision to buy a bridge or a router hangs on specific requirements in the specific network environment. It is not like you connect the bridge or switch where it requires the router, and you can't connect the router where it requires the bridges. Very simple if you say. So bridges or switches are to connect to single segment, like these are the single segments, and we want to connect the two machines within the network segment. So we use the bridges and switches. So this is one segment, this is one segment, this is one segment. Now if you want to communicate between these three different segments, or even from the internet segments, Then what we use the routers. We use the routers to communicate between these different segments. So these are the devices and network components we have. We have NICs, we have hub, we have switches, we have routers, and these are very important to do the communication, to configure the network in our environment.